Welcome to Gat Chat. Today we're asking the question once again: what is a girl gun? Do they exist? Is that like even a thing, or is that like a myth of like a past age where there is a boogeyman in the gun store who is going to recommend your wife, your girlfriend, loved ones, friends of the family some little pink gun, or have we gotten past that? I want to ask these questions. Today, we're talking to Kenzie, three gun Kenzie, amazing, awesome three gun shooter, and so much more, so much more. And you've probably seen her on the channel in the past. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Ask her the question: what is a girl gun?
Well,
Kenzie,
traditionally, a girl gun is shrink it and pink it. Like that's the
shrink it and
marketing.
pink it. Oh, that's
Yes.
so true. I forgot about that. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
That's all you got to do. Then it's, female. Perfect. Thankfully, we live in 2024, and there's a lot of companies now that are tailoring guns, even like with Walther, with the F female version, right? And they're basically slimline pistols. So that's what I consider, I would say, girl guns now are guns that are easily concealable, slim frame, and easy to grip.
Okay. Fair enough. Because, some people refuse to even acknowledge that there was like I guess a prototypical girl gun, even if they were not effective or basically the worst possible thing you can have. So there's a few more questions that I have. Thank you for answering that one, Kenzie. And how long have you been shooting?
So I grew up duck hunting, so I've been shooting, gosh, since I was six. But actually, in the last 10 years, this year is my 10-year anniversary, is when I really started competing, carrying, shooting, teaching. So I would say 10 years of really dedicated focus with being a student of the gun.
Okay, so I mean that's 10 years. Wow. Some people haven't been at their job for 10 years. In fact, most people.
Right.
Let's be for real right now, right? So you've been shooting for 10 plus years. How did you, or so what gun did you get recommended when you first started shooting?
Yeah, so I was recommended Smith and Wesson, and at the time, a lot of their guns, probably all of them at the time, with semi-autos had the thumb safety, the manual thumb safety, and I actually ended up selling that gun. So I maybe carried it for a year. And at the time, too, I was training a lot. So I competed in GSSF matches. I had a little bit of steel challenge practice. I made my pistol team in college. And so I'm carrying this gun and I'm like, I don't practice enough drawing and getting this thumb release off. And so I went to the range a couple times and I tried working on that. And I realized I could not manipulate the thumb safety. You can on 2011s, 1911s, those are really big, really wide, but these really small guns that have the small manual safety, and a lot of times they come from the factory very stiff, I couldn't manipulate it. And on the flip side of that, that I started learning on later in life is when you would draw those guns, maybe you get the thumb safety off and you're shooting, but when people would shift their grip, they would accidentally put that safety back up and now they've safetied themselves. And what was so wild to me is I started seeing that in my classes. So people would come, again, it was Smith and Wessons. They would come with those easy grip guns. So they would have really easy rackable slides, but really difficult because they had two safeties now. They had the grip safety and they had the external thumb safety. And with women, female size hands, a lot of them couldn't even depress the grip safety enough and to reach the trigger, or they had too low of a grip. And of course, they need to practice, right? So I'm not saying that there isn't a way to shoot that, but it was just interesting that so many of these guns people could not use, and especially someone that trains a lot like I do. So now I don't want any external safeties when I carry. I want a striker fired gun. I want it to go boom when I pull the trigger, and I want it to be safe to holster, which a lot of these guns have internal built safeties. So there's no reason to not carry without one in the chamber, and there's no reason to carry a gun that doesn't have external safeties. They're not taboo.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love everything you just said. And I think it's really important to speak from like personal experience and like applied science on the range. A lot of the time we kind of come from a theoretical point of view, especially if you've not done a lot of shooting. You're like, well, I definitely want a safety because the word implies that it's so much safer when in reality there's things that we can do that maybe seems like it's adding steps like, hey, good Kydex holster covers the trigger guard completely. No one's going to accidentally depress the trigger. Probably as good as the safety. In the sense that
Yeah.
if somebody has enough time with your gun, like say you for some reason leave it in the open when you should not, you should keep it on your person or stored, and say you allow a small child to access your gun, you do know how long it might take them to figure out that there's the bright red symbol right there. Let me play with that. Safety's
Yeah.
off. So,
Yeah.
and not to get too deep into that because I want to talk a little bit more about that first gun that you talked about, the Smith and Wesson. You didn't say exactly which one.
Oh, Shield.
Um, so
Shield.
your first gun was a Smith and Wesson Shield. Okay, and dude, like those, I think those kind of revolutionized the game in a way because about 10-ish years ago, I ran into a shield. I was doing Krav Maga, and one of the instructors she carried a shield in her waistband. So that was interesting to see. Like, oh wow, like there's other people out here who are interested in firearms who actually carry. I was actually kind of shocked to see it. Happy, first of all, to see it.
Yeah.
Um, and what? How was that like concealability for you? Like, was that pretty good, or do you feel like you could have gone bigger? Because you're
Um,
not short.
I'm not sure. I'm 5'10". I'm massive. Not a
Stop.
thin lady either. I don't care. It is reality. That one was pretty concealable. And you're talking about Smith. They're a great firearms manufacturer. They make reliable guns. They have good warranty. And now, like I've been playing with their carry comped guns. I played with their new Bodyguard 380, which is the smallest gun I've ever seen in my life. And so, yes, they have listened to feedback, not just on women, men too, but yeah, the slimmer the design, the way that they tuck in, but the holster, you already brought it up, the holster choice is kind of everything too. When I went on Classic Firearms channel recently, and I got so many people that were angry at me for calling a clip in the video. I was talking about the holster clips. I was talking about how that's a terrible freeze. You're gonna have to edit that one.
No, you're good.
Ah, okay, clips. No, I want to say really quick. So
Yeah.
holster clips are going to be everything. I tell women you probably need two clips, the thinner, slimmer ones, not one giant one because the gun can shift, but the claw. There's also a claw that'll push back on the back of your belt and kind of tuck in your grip a little bit
Hmm.
better. And so a lot of those things people don't know about, and they need to learn about how the holster is just as important as the gun choice.
Yeah, that's a non-negotiable for me when I'm talking about holsters. I do a lot of me and John from Filster. We're
Love
pretty
him.
cool. So
Love
he
him.
he makes sure that anytime we're doing a new gun project, I'm like, hey John, so like if we pimp out your holsters, can we get one? And he's like, yeah. And then so we make sure that we get the best newest technology in the holsters, just because it's got to be easy. If it's not easy, I'm not doing it. And that's a problem with somebody like me, right? Where I'm walking out the door, and I'm like, okay, what's the fastest way to get this holster on? Okay, I can do it. Done. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are like that. I don't think I'm unique. Where, first of all, it needs to be easy, but it also needs to be, fit to you. You don't want to like the first holster. Well, not the first. I had an old We the People holster when they first came out, and it was literally the shell for the gun and a little clip on the front. And that was it. So there is really so much people don't understand. Like people who don't know, right? But I don't want to
Yeah.
spend too much more time on that because we could go forever. We could go
I know.
forever. So we talked about your first gun. What is your because you shoot a lot of guns now, right? It's not. I don't even think this is a good question, right? Because you compete with Nighthawk, you run some shotgun stuff, rifle stuff. So it's like okay, we're talking about handgun. We're talking about concealed carry. What are you concealed carrying right now?
Yeah, so my primary gun is the IWI Masada Slim. I absolutely love that pistol. So mine is actually still the polymer grip one. If people
Hmm.
don't know that Mischief Machine is now making some really cool frames for these different firearms. So they have an
Hmm.
aluminum frame that has different grip panels you can change out. But IWI makes a great gun. Flat trigger, no external
Wait,
safety.
is the Masada is that modular? I didn't realize that.
Now it is with it's a whole new frame. It's a whole new lower. So you don't get to change out like a firing control group. But what I was saying is the Mischief Machine, like
Oh, the
yeah,
grip.
yeah,
Okay, okay, cool, wonderful. Because I saw Mischief made a new grip for the GX4, and I'm like, oh, I need to talk to Kenzie because I need a GX4 now. That looks amazing. Oh
yeah.
my
So yeah, a lot
gosh.
of these guns that are just dropping now, changing out, which is awesome. Mischief Machines one, I can't remember. I mean, Brower Solutions. I don't think they do one
Hmm.
for the Masada, but they do them for Sig.
Hmm.
So just find the right one that works for you.
Of course, that's
That's my
important.
full. But here's where I get crazy. And I went on the Classic Firearms channel kind of sharing this. It's actually right next to me because I wore this yesterday. But in my little carry pouch, this is a really cute, like fanny pack design,
Hmm.
crossbody. I don't know if I'm allowed to
Yeah,
show
yeah.
it.
Go ahead, please.
So this is just the crossbreed holster is the leather holster and Kydex, and it's just my little tiny Glock 43. So this thing doesn't add a lot of weight, 6+1 rounds, and it's right near where my chest is. So here's what's important if you do this, and I preach this on the channel, but like if you're going to carry this, I practice pulling the zipper down, drawing my gun out. When I go to the range, I'm working with my IWI Masada Slim. I'm working with this gun. Sometimes too, like I change up carry guns. I have a Walther PVP F, the 3.5 inch, not the 4 inch, so it's a little bit smaller. And so I have that actually in a donut holster from Crossbreed. But anyways, I have
Nice.
different carry guns depending on clothing. I mean, I wear typically the same stuff, but when you're talking about maybe I'm going to be hiking, maybe I'm going to be backpacking, maybe I am going to be sitting in the car for a really long time. There's different guns and holsters options. And what's really important about all of them is none of them have external safeties. All of them are safe by themselves. All of them go into a holster that has the trigger card, covering it. And I train with them. So all of them I know how to shoot. All of them I'm familiar with them. And that's what's really important.
Yeah, it's super important. And I love that you said that because I'm the same way. I don't have a heavy carry rotation, but
Yeah.
and I have like what I would normally shoot. Like I'm normally going to carry the Glock 45 with the X300 turbo, massive light at the end, but that adds a lot of length to the end of the gun. So if I carry appendix in the front area. So if you're sitting for a long time with that much gun, it can get uncomfortable depending on what you're doing with your pants and whatever. It sounds weird, but
And the
we'll,
wedge.
we'll figure
The
it out.
wedge. Yeah.
Yes, you got to do. You kind of have to do a lot of extra stuff to make sure that the gun is comfortable. But with the Hellcat Pro, it's a shorter gun and it is a little bit more compact. And it's like if I'm going on a road trip, it's probably the gun you want to if you're gonna wear it. But also, like what you said, if you need to go fanny pack, say you're doing some sort of hike or something like that, maybe you don't want to carry it on your skin because it's gonna get hot, it's gonna get sweaty, and if the gun's gonna be slick and it's just a mess, right? So maybe the pack is the way to go, right? And so I love that you have good ideas, like really well thought out ideas, and it's more than an idea. You've actually trained with it, and that's huge. Actually training with the gun that you're going to carry. I love that, dude.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and a few more questions. I don't want to keep you too long, but a few more questions.
It's fun.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you think so. Um, what criteria do you have for a carry gun? Let's say I took all your guns away today, all 6 billion of them, and I said we got to go buy you a new gun right now. You're going to be a carry gun. What's the criteria? It's got to have these features, or we can't go.
Yep. Capacity is one thing. So now, like my bare minimum is going to be 10 round capacity minimum. All of these guns I'm talking about here too, other than the Glock, but they are having 12. They're having 13 rounds, right? So that's number one. Number two is they have to be concealable. So I actually can't conceal. Like I tried a Glock 19 once. It will not conceal on my body. It's just
Hmm.
too wide of a frame. So they have to have like kind of again, I'm going slimline. So slimline guns probably. And then I'm looking at striker fired. So I don't want external safeties. I know I've preached that on here a million times, but that's really important for me. Now, they have to, on the flip side of that, be tested. So they have to be drop tested. The manufacturer themselves have to be reputable. It has to be a brand I've heard of, right? And a brand that would stand behind their warranty. I'm in a brand that I would trust. And there is one big manufacturer that I would never carry their gun, would never compete with their gun. It's just not a safe gun. So that's really important as well. And those other firearms I'm talking about that work for me are the ones that have built-in trigger shoe safeties as well. And they also have internal safeties built in. So, and then the last thing is that I have to be able to grip it and reach the trigger and pull the trigger. So when we're going to the gun store, I put hands on these guns. I dry fire these
Hmm.
guns. If and I don't have big hands, I don't have small hands, but every single person, no matter what, needs to actually put hands on the gun before they buy them. I think so many people make the mistake of buying it, thinking like, "Oh, this will be perfect," and then they hate it, and then they never wear it or they never shoot it because they can't reach the trigger, whatever.
Oh my
So it's
gosh,
kind of
you're so
what I'm
right.
for. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no,
so
you're absolutely right. And we talk about this all the time in the gun space. Like, hey, you got to have maybe your first gun shouldn't be the smallest gun ever because it's going to introduce extra snap. It's going to be uncomfortable to shoot. In fact, if you don't have great fundamentals to begin with, and because you're just getting started, you're not going to be able to control that recoil. So it's going to be a pain to shoot at the range. You're not going to want to come back. And so, not only are you new to guns, but you're going to stay a rookie in like your gun skills, right? And it's just a mess. But on the other side, like you said, if it's uncomfortable to carry it, like when I first started carrying, I started carrying a Glock 19 with a bad holster, and so everything was like falling over, and I was in better
Yep.
shape at the time too. So it wasn't a me thing,
All right.
and it was really frustrating because I think if I had the right belt, if I had a good holster and the right gun combination, right, the fundamentals of concealed carry, um,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have been so conscious of like, oh my gosh, is it showing? It is showing. It is showing. I'm not even just thinking. It is showing, right? And so you can fix that, and then you get to the point where you're comfortable, and you can become more comfortable because as you look in the mirror, oh yes, that's not showing. Hey, mom, dad, best friend is concealed. Yeah, okay, good deal. But I love
So
what you just said.
this is insulting to most people, and it shouldn't be. But I actually recently did the GOA gun for the Canik
Hmm.
Mede that came out, and
Yeah, yeah.
Fat came out to the range, brought a holster, and people, I'm like, hey, have you tried Fat Tack? And they're like, excuse me, and I'm like, it's an amazing holster. First of all, it's ambidextrous, but on
Hmm.
both sides of it, they have different heights. So they have so many holes drilled, so you can get a really, really deep concealment. And that's
Hmm.
what I like about not flopping out too. Is like they make a really good holster. So, anyways, I've insulted enough people now, but I'm just telling you guys, if you're listening, you don't have to be small, you don't have to be big. It's just a good holster, okay?
Right. I mean, let's be real. There's so many different body sizes and shapes and different places where you are in life. Like if you literally just had a baby and you still want to carry, as you should maybe still want to carry, like okay, if you're having a baby, I know a few ladies in the space who they recently had babies and they documented their journey through and carrying. I'm just like, look at you, rock star. I love it.
Rachel is
But
one of them. Rachel's
yeah.
Karen. Oh
Oh
yeah,
my gosh, Rachel, I love Rachel so much. She's great.
me too.
But
Me too.
yeah. So I do still have like two or three more questions.
Mhm.
So we talked about your criteria for like what needs to kind of be happening in that carry gun. So what are some features that let's talk about the anatomy of a gun, right? What are some features that make it hard for you to carry or shoot a gun?
Yeah, the trigger stuff is really kind of my snobness in me, but because I've shot so many guns, like I don't like the ones that don't have a trigger shoe and that have like it feels like a lot of take up, right? Like I don't know, 4 inches of take up. It's exaggeration, but if that's all the way coming back to the wall, and then I pull the trigger and I have to come all the way back off, and my finger's almost coming off, like that's a
Mm-hmm.
no go. Your trigger is what makes the gun go boom, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's really important. After that, it's manipulation. Now, every single female I've ever taught pretty much it has the excuse of like, oh, I don't have the grip strength, I don't have the hand strength. There are techniques into racking the gun when we're talking about a push pull kind of effect. When we're talking about how you bring the gun into your body, you're not trying to, do it out here out front in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
You're all within your body to be able to move those muscles and get that slide racked. But to say that is like the Glock 43, that is the smoothest slide I've ever, encountered. So now with all the technology where we're at now, they have grip or they have slide serrations. So you need something to be able to hang on to when you're racking and
Yeah.
slide. And that can also come from a dot. Like it's not great to rack your gun on a dot. And so like if that's how you carry, and I do, that's actually a nice tool to have to be able to rack a gun is a red dot. Sounds
That's
terrible,
true.
but I've tested a
Hey,
lot of haven't broken
listen,
them.
there's a lot of tactical bros who have tested these red dots into oblivion, and it's effective. It's effective,
It is.
unless you're
It
running
is.
something really cheap. Don't do it on something that's not rated for that. So
Agreed. And the last thing that really frustrates me is the grip length. And so you have to be able to have all of your freaking fingers on a firearm. And I talk about this like kind of in depth a lot. And some of these guns sure are going to take a pinky extender on the magazine itself for you to have, all of your 3 fingers on your primary hand and your 4 on the other support hand on the gun. But so that's the stuff that I look at is the grip should be long enough where I don't have to go buy these extenders. If I have to, they need to have pinky extenders available. So that's a really important thing because pinkies dangling, nobody can shoot a firearm with pinkies dangling. I'm
yeah.
sorry, it's not fun. So
Right. No, it's a problem, especially considering your pinky in a lot of like good solid technique that's been invented throughout the years, your pinky is an anchor point for controlling that recoil. So especially if you're newer to shooting and you have no other like concept and we're like, okay, well, anchor that pinky. Pinky is literally anchoring into your hand because there's no gun. And now the gun is doing a backflip out of your hand, doing pirouettes. And it's like, wow, I didn't know we paid for a ballet show, like what are we doing?
we make it hard. Yeah.
Right. There's no reason to play life on hard mode. Get that pinky extender. Is that what you're using for the 43? Because I know the 43 is a shorter grip.
100%. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't even shoot it without it. And same with the Mede. When we had the GOA gun, the Josh and I, we were drawing from concealment and we were doing this on video and we were practicing with it. And they had the extended mag that had 15 round capacity, and then I
Hmm.
think the other one was 12, and it was flush fit. But what was so funny is, and this is what you learn, was we never shot this gun. I mean, we shot the Mede, but anyways, I go to draw and my pinky's coming off on the flush fit mag, so I couldn't even get the grip. So I'm trying to like shuffle my grip as the gun's coming out of the holster. I was like, this is bad.
Big
As
problem.
soon as I switched to the 12 or to the extender, 15
Hmm.
round or whatever it was, and easy grip coming right out of the holster onto the target. I don't have to shift my grip. Can't talk today. I
Hmm.
wasn't losing my grip, but that was what was so funny. So then I watched Josh like 10 minutes later do the same thing with the other mag, and I knew what he was experiencing. He's like, God, I can't get it. Why is it? And whatever, not working. And I was like, hey, bud, swap mags. And he was like, ho. And I was like, yeah, dude, if you can't get a grip out of the holster and it's a floppy one and your pinky's dangling, like it's not going to be a good gun. So you're going to have to carry, with that extended mag, or,
Hmm.
you're back to the flush fit one. I don't know. I'm just saying, think about your magazines and the length of your grip as well when you're going to buy a
Right.
gun.
I mean, especially considering you've been training with full size grips for the last 10 years, actually competing, going to a gun where you're going to have to draw with literally two, three fingers, that makes no
Hmm.
sense. That's
Hmm.
not effective. In fact, it diminishes your skill beyond, oh, it's a smaller gun. Now it's diminishing your skill to, it's an incomplete gun. And so that's, to me, that's insane. I remember when I was going through my security training certification course and, hours on the range. I was running a Glock 19 on outside the waistband holster, and there were times where if you were kind of really like pushing it, you could kind of slip up and not get a perfect grip, and now you're trying to compensate in mid shot to try to reestablish a master grip, and that's no fun. So that's why I
Yeah.
switched to the Glock 45, which has the longer grip, which
Yeah.
is like, well, why would you need that? Just in case, just in
Yeah.
case you're not in the perfect position because things are going fast. You're still on the gun. You can still maintain positive control. If you need to readjust to get a more effective master grip, you can. But at least your fingers aren't hanging off the gun because you were going too fast. That's how I
And
think of it.
whoever says, why do you need that? It's none of their business at
Right.
all, period.
That's
And
right.
just the only person that should be choosing your carry gun, your carry mags, your carry optic, your sights, whatever it is you, no one else, not your husband,
Hmm.
not your boyfriend, not your dad, your uncle, your whatever. So when someone's like, oh, blah, 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 I'm like, mind your business. Doesn't matter because it's for me. Or when someone asks me, like, what do you carry? What do you recommend for me? I was like, I will recommend firearms, period, that I trust, that I've used, that I've shot, and they don't malfunction or what have you. But I'm not going to tell you what to carry, and it doesn't matter what I carry,
Mm.
period.
Wow. Well, that was actually the last question: is what gun do you recommend for women?
Okay,
Um,
I will go into that though. I can.
yeah. Well, let's
Um,
talk about that a little bit more.
yes. So when you talk about the big names, of course, we know Glock, Smith and Wesson. I love IWI. Walther makes great guns. There's just so many more coming out of the firearms manufacturer now. So I look at the Walther PDP-F. You could do the full size if you wanted to. I actually have the full size PDP, but the F is made for females. There's a 3.5 and a 4 inch. The IWI Masada Slim is probably one of my favorite guns. But Glock. So let's talk about, like, you have the Glock 43, you have the old 42. Those are small capacity guns, but now you have the 48X. You're probably gonna have to help me with some of the model numbers, but like when you're talking about the slim line, higher capacity, 10 round minimum, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, yeah, the 48 and then the 43X are like the 10 round guns, which we have a 43X sitting right over there. And the 48, I think, is actually probably the preferred gun, especially if you talk about like Tessa Booth and her philosophy on like the longer gun makes it a little easier to conceal because physics, right? And also a little bit more barrel length can make it a little easier to shoot. So I would
oh,
recommend that ladies, when looking at the 43X and 48, consider the 48 because it actually has a little bit, especially if you're not using a red dot, a
yeah.
longer distance between the sights makes it easier to shoot accurately, and then more length on the barrel physics makes it easier to shoot just in general because it's less painful.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
more to it, but we'll let you go.
Um, no, I'm glad that you, because I have, yeah, 43X, 48. Okay.
Mhm.
And then Canic Mede. So I love that gun. I love Canic. I have 6 Canic pistols, guys. Like I'm obsessed. I think they're better than Glocks. Yes, I said that out loud. They work. They're accurate,
Yeah.
and they come with more. Canic
So much
ships these
more.
so much more with even a holster. You just buy the
Yes.
gun. You are ready to go carry. Not that you should. You should train. But yes,
Yeah.
you have the holster.
Yeah,
That's
no,
one thing.
seriously. Even I mean, I just got my TTI Combat in not too long ago, and that comes with a bunch. But you don't have to spend TTI Combat money to get everything that you need, from tools to cleaning stuff to extra grips to plates for your optic to everything that you need is in that box. And yes, you can go get some aftermarket stuff that maybe fits you a little bit differently or fits you better or however. But everything you need is technically in the box. Plus, they load those features in like, oh, you want an optic cut? You don't have to pay $50 extra, like with Glock. Come on, guys. Which
Yeah,
I carry a
it's
Glock,
annoying.
so
It's annoying.
I endure.
Yeah, that's the Glock misses the market. Or they just win it. They're smarter and make people buy two. But to keep going too, I want to mention Taurus. They do. Taurus, I love. I've been playing with the GX4 carry gun for a while
Hmm.
now, in the GX4. I love those pistols. Taurus has come a long way, so I know a lot of people have a lot of like bad feeling or bad reputation about Taurus, but in the last like I'd say 5-10 years, they have completely innovated. Their
Hmm.
guns work. I was just at an event where we could not get the guns to malfunction, which is really freaking cool. Um, so those are great. And then what was the other one I was gonna say? Oh, Smith and Wesson. I mean, so like I was playing with the carry comped gun. The bodyguard is a 380, and that one, like people who run, people who like maybe are with a stroller with their kid, man, this could fit in your shoe. It's so small.
Wow.
Um, it was really neat. There is external safety, so like even with the guns that have external safeties, you sounds bad, but you can have those off and the gun's
Hmm.
still not going to go off because there's still more backup safeties, and you can have those in a holster and you can draw, and then you don't even have to worry about it. Just know that
Right.
when you grab that gun, your thumb's on top of wherever that is, so you're not safetying yourself. But
Right.
yeah, Smith and Wesson always has made really great guns. So whether it's the Shield, I think they have the new Comp Shield, Carry Shield, whatever.
Right. I know
Uh,
they have like a 2.0 for something. They
yeah,
got a lot of guns, and it can get kind of confusing. So they should definitely hit you up and figure out what gun they're talking about.
the same with I love Safariland model numbers. It's the ALG 0132. I'm like, huh? What holster is that for?
No idea. There's a guide
Yeah,
somewhere. There's literally a printout that guys who
they're
sell this
awesome.
stuff have to reference because nobody actually knows.
You can go to their website now and you can be like, what gun do you have? What barrel link? What brand? I'm like, all
Right.
right, you've gotten there.
Yeah, we definitely need builders. Break down the builders because everybody's confused, and
Yeah,
it's a shame. But we'll make do. We'll make do,
we will.
dude.
We will.
Kenzie, thank you so much for being here. We got to make sure that if you have anything you need to share, anything you got to get off your chest, and or let people know where to find you, you can go ahead and do that right now.
Yeah, so I know a lot of states have constitutional carry, and I know a lot of people are like, okay, I was raised around guns, so I must know guns. Even I don't know guns, right? I go pick up a new gun, I don't know that gun. Even though I know how to shoot, that doesn't necessarily mean I know how to shoot that firearm or I'm familiar with it. So here's my thing. If you're gonna go pick up a gun, you're gonna go buy a gun, it doesn't matter what it is, pistol, rifle, shotgun, we're talking pistols. You and only you should know how to break that firearm down, how to clean that firearm, how to clear malfunctions if it malfunctions. You're not going to have somebody with you if you had to use that gun, or if you're at the range, you're not going to have people that should be doing your job for you. So my biggest thing is go train with your gun, dry fire with your gun, take a class with your gun of choice, and get familiar with it. So that is all on you. It is not on anybody else to know how to do it, know how to use it, know how to carry it. That's you. And give it a shot when you start carrying for the first time. I know he had mentioned this as well, but like we all, when we put a gun on our bodies, we all kind of got nervous, right? It's like, oh my God, people are looking at me, people are watching me, they don't have a firearm. Guess what? They don't. There are times that I print, I don't mean to. There are times when, maybe the gun comes out when I reach high for something, or not come out, but you see the grip. It happens, but there's a lot more people not paying attention than there are paying attention, which is really sad. So go in public, spend 2 weeks getting used to it, and then I promise you, you'll almost forget that you're carrying every single day if you make it kind of like your religion. So that's what I want to say. Get out there, train, be safe, have fun, and yeah, that's what I got.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being here. And we'll go ahead and sign out right about now. But I did want to give you a second to tell people where they could find you. Like, how do you have Instagram? Do you have a YouTube channel? You have a podcast? Do you have all three? Golly.
A little. Okay, so Three Gun Kenzie on Instagram and on Facebook, and then Reticle Up. And I'm working on podcast season 3 coming out soon. I just moved into a new house that has a studio, which I'm excited about. You can also check me out on athlonoutdoors.com with my articles and videos. Classic Firearms channel, I'm on there as well. If you go to threegunkenzie.com, I've got a whole portfolio too if you want to check out articles, videos, or what have you. So if you have any questions too, don't be afraid to send me a DM or a message. Also on Twitter, which is now X, Three Gun Kenzie. So easy to find me. Three Gun Kenzie is my new name.
All right, guys, it's been so cool having Kenzie with us today. She's one of my favorite people in the gun space. Complete maniac, loves guns and loves teaching. Have you noticed that she has like a real way of sharing information? Got that teacher energy, and I think obviously if you're in the area with her and she's doing some sort of class or some sort of women's event, look it up. Make sure you're tapping in with her because I think you're not going to regret your time that y'all spend together. That said, we've been asking the question: what is a girl gun? What is it? I don't even know still, but let's continue this journey. I think the next episode or two is we're really going to flesh it out a little bit more, and we want to thank Kenzie for coming on and trying to answer the question with us today. Y'all have a great one. Peace.